Hey guys, coming to you after a bit of a break, after a crazy kind of season here in Melbourne, but coming to you with week 11 of the Inside Out Life devotions. And I want to talk today about the idea of beauty and the importance of it in our lives. And particularly, this is one for our artists and our creatives, but I think there's definitely something in this that we can all take away. So I'm going to start just by reading Isaiah 61. And it's from chapter 3, verses 1 to 3. It says, "The Spirit of the Sovereign Lord is on me, because the Lord has anointed me to proclaim good news to the poor, to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim freedom for the captives, release from darkness for the prisoners, to comfort all who mourn, to provide for those who grieve in Zion, and to bestow on them a crown of beauty instead of ashes, the oil of joy instead of mourning, and the garment of praise instead of despair." So 3 weeks ago, pretty much to the day, we found ourselves here in Melbourne plunged back into a snap lockdown after having a really, a season of freedom and things opening up again. We were plunged back into this season. And as soon as those words were uttered, lockdown, you could sense just the emotional impact that people, fear and anxiety began to flood the atmosphere again. It was like the trauma had been sitting dormant in our hearts and it was all of a sudden triggered again. And, as this concept of lockdown was announced, again, we just felt this sense of oppression, an immediate sense of oppressiveness in the atmosphere. And even though it was only 7 days, it was first announced as 7 days. It didn't matter. It was just that this was our reality again. So I took notice of what was going on in my heart and mind over especially those first few days. How I was reacting, how I was responding. And the very first thing I did was crave sugar. I craved sugar and carbs because it's cold here. Stuff that would comfort food, stuff that would make me feel cozy and comfy, like scones and pasta is just stuff that it really, stick to your ribs is what we say here. And junk food, stuff that kind of, would give your senses a bit of a zing. And as the days went on, I kind of would take notice of when I felt like that moment of coming alive, because there was such a feeling of numbness and heaviness. When those moments brought me to life, I'd think, what actually triggered that? I was in the car going for a drive and a new song came on the radio, and I was like, it brought me to life. I went for many walks, and going for a walk in nature and just reconnecting with the beauty of God. Those things brought me to life. And what I was noticing in the midst of the heaviness was that what I was craving was something that would make me feel something that actually engaged my senses. And it was when my senses were engaged that there was a feeling of being brought to life somehow. And what struck me out of this was the importance of the gift of beauty, this God-given gift that God has given us of beauty that can actually break through some of those noises, break through the numbness, and break through even the hardest of hearts. Beauty can do amazing things in our lives, and it can draw us really to encounter God in a very special way. God himself is a God of beauty. And if we look at creation and we look at the creation narrative in Genesis, we see that God created everything. He created the world out of nothing. He breathed it into life. And he's created everything with such beauty. He said it was good. And of humans, he said we were very, very good. So we get this sense that he is the original artist. And he's also given us the ability to create things of beauty. And these things of beauty in many ways are to not only bring our hearts to life, but also to enable us to connect with him in a very real and new way sometimes. It made me think about the fact, a trip that I did to Russia with YWAM back in the early 2000s. And our team was there, and it was only about 10 years after the fall of communism in Russia. And I remember one of the reflections of the missionaries and the local Christians at that point was that in those 10 years that had passed, there was this amazing new openness to and a revival in creativity and the arts. After it being suppressed for so long under communist regime, the country was once again, providing some of its greatest creativity. And this is a country that some of the greatest creativity in history came out of. So it's like they were able to reconnect again to their identity as this beautiful creative nation. And it was flourishing. It was starting to flourish again. God bringing beauty from the ashes. And we see the same throughout history. If you look back through the patterns in history, the periods of great renaissance and great revival in arts and creativity and great life are often and pretty much most usually preceded by a very dark season. The Renaissance was preceded by the Dark Ages, and often pandemics and very stressful, oppressive times precede these times of beauty and creativity. I encourage you to do some research around it. So firstly today, my encouragement would be to our artists. I want to plead with you today, do not neglect this gift. Even though it's a hard and it's a dark and it's oppressive season, we need you. We need you. We need your God-given gift more than ever. We need you to keep creating, keep writing, keep drawing, keep painting, keep dancing, keep pressing in and drawing near to God and creating things of beauty that actually help draw us into that beauty, help bring us to life, and help us see God in a new way. Connect deeply with Creator God and allow Him to inspire you in new ways. This is where we get our strength from in this time, is in our connection with God. I believe that we are going to see a new season of innovation and creativity, a new renaissance of arts and creativity like never before. So tap into the Holy Spirit and His creativity. And secondly, something for all of us, something practical. If you're really feeling the weight of this season, a numbness or even depression or a heaviness, I would encourage you to do something that connects you with beauty and creativity. In Julia Cameron's book, The Artist's Way, she suggests that we take ourselves on artist dates, take ourselves off and do something creative that actually helps us connect with our Creator. Go for a walk in nature. Take your shoes off and walk on the grass in your bare feet. Even if it's cold and wet, just let your body feel something. Pick a flower, smell it, let the scent waft into your senses, bring you to life. Go to a museum if it's open and just, be immersed in the beauty of created art. Put your favourite music on and have a dance party. We love to do that as a family. Or go and sit in a beautiful old church and admire the architecture. And if it's not open, maybe watch a documentary about architecture and admire the beauty that comes from created art. So my encouragement would be just find a way somehow to connect with God through beauty and allow Him to minister to your heart, allow it to bring you to life in this season. Have a great week, guys. We'll see you in another 2 weeks.